Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I'm in this first generation BMW X6, known as the E71, and it ran from 2008 until 2014. I've never actually filmed a review with the BMW X6, so I thought on this beautiful winter's day, it was about time I did. The BMW X6 has been around since 2008, and I remember it being quite a shocking thing when it was first unveiled. I mean, don't forget, this car was released just as pretty much the whole world was facing a serious financial crisis. BMW couldn't have got the timing more wrong. I say that because it was a period when everyone was watching the pennies, and yet here we have a less practical, less spacious, yet more expensive X5. It just didn't really make much sense. Plus the fact, I mean, what was it? What was it supposed to be? It was an SUV that wanted to be a coupe. It was all a bit strange. I have to say though, I've always quite liked them. I like the fact that BMW dared to be different. I also kind of liked how obnoxious it was. I know that sounds a bit silly, but for me it's a bit like the G-Wagon. People buying it know there are better options available, and yet they still go with that because they want something different, they want something cool, and I admire that. I mean, styling wise, this X6, it's funny, isn't it? If you park it next to some modern day BMWs, this actually looks quite restrained, quite dignified, quite pretty even. I mean, look at the grille on that new 7 Series, or look at that new iX thing from any angle. It's a monster. A whole 15 years since this car debuted. I actually think it's aged quite nicely. I think I'm going to put my sunglasses on here, guys. I don't mean to be rude, but I can't see a bloody thing. The first thing to consider if you're thinking about buying an X6 is the practicality. This is considerably less practical than an X5. For a start, it only seats 4 people, not 5 or 6 or 7 like you can with an X5. And because of its sloping roof, rear headroom is a little limited. So it all depends what your wants and needs are from a car. For me personally, that wouldn't bother me because I rarely have passengers, or at least rear passengers. But if you do have lots of tall people constantly begging you for lifts, then the X6 might not be the car for you. And the lack of space continues to the boot. The bottom part of it isn't too dissimilar from the space offered from the X5. But moving up, then it does become an issue. Again, it's not really an issue if you only carry bags of groceries, but if you regularly carry chests of drawers or an under-the-counter single fridge, then you might need to invest in some bungee cords or, you know, an X5. Something positive to mention though, because this car comes with run flats as standard, there's no spare wheel, which means you do get quite a decent sized storage area under the boot floor. In addition to that, the rear seats fold down and there is plenty of storage everywhere. You get 2 cup holders up front, 2 cup holders in the back, plenty of space in the door cards. You get a decent sized glove compartment and more storage under this centre armrest. So there is storage everywhere. Storage is something I always look for in a car, and this has got it by the boatload. I've got plenty of space for my keys, phone, wallet, sunglasses, everything you could think of. So up front at least, or 50% of the car, has got everything that you could possibly need. Sat behind the wheel, you get great forward visibility. I've got these huge door mirrors that are the size of dinner plates. As you might expect though, thanks to its sloping roof, rear visibility is a little impeded. Driving the X6 makes you realise that everything's been designed for the driver. Everything's within easy reach, everything's easy to figure out. This is one of those cars that you only have to be in for a couple of minutes and you'll have everything sussed. Before I got in this car, I was having a quick look around it and I noticed somebody had folded the parcel shelf in half. So I thought, oh, that's a bit strange. So I opened it out flat. Now I know why they did that. Something else to point out with this car is that it's way more luxurious than I was expecting. The steering wheel's wrapped in nice soft leather and the steering's quite light as well, it's not too heavy. Everything you touch, press, poke and prod feels like it'll last for 50 years. The seats are typical BMW seats in that they are quite firm, but they're still quite comfortable. I also love the shark fin gear selector. It's a really clever design that, just fits nicely in the palm of your hand. Now BMW built this as a sports activity coupe, which created an unfortunate acronym for it. I'm not entirely sure what a sports activity coupe is, but I think the long and short of it is, this is supposed to drive and feel more like a sports car. Well, I can tell you straight away, it does not feel like a sports car. Don't get me wrong, it actually feels quite nimble, sharp and agile. Well, I suppose as much as a 2-ton car can. But you never forget that you're in a lofty SUV, or SAC, whatever they want to call it. The steering isn't too heavy, so it's nice and easy to operate around town. It's quite an easy car to park, this. But crucially, you still get the feel through the steering, that feedback that people expect from BMWs. It's still there. It is a really nice car to drive, this. It feels fun. You can throw this into corners at a speed you wouldn't dare in any other SUV, or at least many other SUVs anyway. If you're one of those people who enjoy driving a bit more spiritedly, then you'll love the X6. If, for example, you're used to a 3 Series or a 6 Series, but you need something with a bit more practicality, then this could be the answer. This is the kind of car that you can use for the school run, providing you don't have a Catholic approach to birth control. Then once you've dropped your 2 or 3 children off, you can drive home or to work and actually enjoy the drive. The engines and gearboxes available in the X6 are terrific. Although you can only buy the X6 as an automatic, it's a really good automatic gearbox. Early ones came with a 6-speed ZF box, later ones came with an 8-speed, and they're really good. Changes are smooth, quick, seamless. It really is everything you want from an auto. Under the bonnet there are a wide range of motors available, but most people here in Europe at least chose this one. This uses a 3-litre straight-6 turbo diesel engine, and as I've said in many other videos, it is a gem. It'll do 0 to 62 in just 7.5 seconds, whilst averaging 38 miles per gallon. It really is the best of both worlds. This one's badged as the 30D. They do a 35D, a 40D, and even a 50D. They're all basically the same 3-litre straight-6 turbo diesel engine, but in various states of tune. The 50D actually has 3 turbochargers strapped on for good measure, and it produces 381 brake horsepower as a result. I suppose each to their own, but personally I just stick with the ordinary 3-litre diesel. It never feels lacking. Sadly though, none of the diesels are ULEZ compliant, so if you live within the M25 and you don't want to line the pockets of the TfL, your only choice is petrol. Again, there are a couple of petrols available. The 3-litre straight-6 is another gem, or there's a 4.4-litre V8. Now, as powerful as that 4.4-litre V8 is, they can be troublesome, so they're best avoided, to be honest. Because this car's a bit lower and a bit sportier than the X5, the ride quality has been compromised. As you can probably tell from this video, it is a little bit on the firm side. Not irritatingly so, but it is a bit choppy, and those run flats won't help either. In terms of running costs, they're quite reasonable. The annual road tax for the diesels at least sits at £395 a year, so it's not in the highest bracket. Insurance depends on many factors, so I can't really go into that specifically, but it's in round about the same group as the X5. And servicing costs shouldn't break the bank either, and reliability is also quite good. I would advise you service them regularly though. Give them a service, change the oil every 12 months or 10,000 miles. Ignore what BMW say, do it every 10,000 miles. And the gearboxes aren't sealed for life either. You need to change the fluid every 80,000 miles. What I would advise you do is find a good BMW specialist and just stick with them. Have them look after the car, and you shouldn't have any trouble. If you're unlucky, you might have an issue with the swirl flaps on the diesel, but that isn't too costly a job to have them deleted. And if you predominantly drive around town, then you might have issues with the EGR and the DPF. So what I'd advise you do there is run it on premium fuel at least every other fill-up, and try and run it for a long steady run at least once a fortnight. Otherwise they just end up getting choked up. The performance from this 3-litre diesel is more than adequate. If I floor it now, it even sounds quite good. It's not rapid, but it's more than you'd need. I had a look on Auto Trader today at the used prices, and there are currently just over 500 X6s for sale in the UK. Prices start at around £6,500, but to be honest, I'd avoid that first page of Auto Trader. None of them jumped out at me. They all looked as if they'd been owned by unsuccessful ketamine salesmen. £10,000 should get you a decent one, but you need to look for one with good service records, 2 keys, matching tyres. Tyres are always an indication of how a car's been maintained. If it's got a land sale, an evergreen and 2 happy gallops, then I just walk away. Overall then, the X6 is a really good option if it fits in with your lifestyle, the number of children you've got, and the height of your passengers. Personally speaking, it'd fit in with my lifestyle perfectly. I'd happily have one. I think they're fun to drive, easy to live with, and they look cool. And they're the 3 things that I look for when looking for a new used car. This particular one's done 96,000 miles and it still feels tight and sharp. There are a couple of things that irritate me about it though. 1, it doesn't have heated seats. That should be standard on this kind of car. 2, the creaking parcel shelf. That would just wind me up. I'd have to fling that in my garage, I think. But yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the link below. And yeah, see you next time. Cheers guys.